Morning, Rowena.
Hi, Vince. Hi,
Or I guess
Monique.
it's your evening,
Hi.
but there. Hi.
Sorry?
Your evening, but my morning.
Yeah, I know.
Have you met Monique before? I don't think so.
No, I
I don't
haven't met
think
you.
so.
It's my
Um,
second meeting ever.
Welcome. I haven't been here for a while, actually,
Okay.
but tonight was all free for a little bit, at least before it gets too late.
Hmm. You're looking younger. I don't know how to.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not throwing that out as a weird compliment, but yeah, your face is different, and
oh,
that's the word that
well, I
came to
don't know.
mind.
Sometimes I feel full of energy and sometimes I don't, but yeah, thank you anyway.
It
Good to
was.
look younger.
It wasn't meant as a compliment per se. It was just a
Oh, no,
description.
but it's yeah, but if you said you're looking older, I don't really think there would have been a reaction either way because that it's
Mm.
um one way or another, but you know.
Monique Rowan is another guide at LU and a
Oh, okay.
very wise lady. So, yeah.
That's great. I
That's
need that.
that's just a thought coming from
Yes, yes.
faith.
But when you flushed, what was that?
When I flushed,
Yes.
oh, that's because I'm drinking some hot chocolate.
Yeah. So tell me how things have been for you, Monique, just lately.
Um,
Still getting triggered?
pardon me.
Are you getting triggered?
Um, you know, um, I things are just feeling a bit different for me. I don't know why. Um, it feels like the time, right? It feels like a week ago was a lifetime ago. I'm getting really confused with time. Um, it's almost like, and it depends on the situation. So when I'm out walking in nature, it's easy for me to connect with nature and be present. And so when that's happening, it's like everything is just flowing and it's my thoughts come and they go they just it doesn't matter. I see a bird, I look at the bird, and it seems like even the distractions in that situation, it doesn't disrupt anything. It's just,
Yeah.
I can see that it's just simply happening. But what I noticed that I was doing when I'm outside of that environment, and since that first time we spoke, where things opened up for me, is it was such a great experience of feeling lighter and just almost like I don't know, it's just like things were could feel just a relaxation and that I've been avoiding to get together with people that could trigger me. And so this is starting to come up now. The first week, I just it didn't matter at all because I was just so enjoying the glow of it all. But this week I started noticing, oh, you're avoiding. You don't want to have these conversations. You don't want to see this person that you decided would trigger you, and it would go so far that I thought, and we're probably not even friends, and this the whole like drama. Right up until before the meeting, I received a note. I had absolutely no communication with this person. Just before the meeting, I received a note. Hi, Monique, it's been a while. Do you want to come over and spend Christmas Eve? And the answer, I didn't respond because I thought, if I respond right now, I have no idea what's going to come out. But it actually was a trigger
Mm.
because I realized, oh, okay, I don't want to see her, mostly because I want to avoid the situation. The situation would be feeling uncomfortable, just um, being myself, whatever that is. I don't know what that is anymore. It would be simply uncomfortable Christmas Eve, and I don't want to dissolve into the Christmas thing and
Mm.
big deal. I mostly avoid that. I can't relate to it in the same way that I used to, even though I do some things. So, right until before the meeting, I thought I have absolutely nothing to share because I've been avoiding everything. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm in the same place I was before I spoke with you 2 weeks ago, feeling uncomfortable and anxious and not knowing which personality aspect's going to come up if I get together with this person.
And you
Not
feel a
even
little anxious
knowing,
about that?
I feel I feel anxious. I can feel it in my throat. It's the voice. I can feel my throat. And it's like the old me would say, oh, yeah, sure, I'll just pop in. That's the old me from some time ago, the conditioned me. And I actually used to love celebrating things and all, but the new me is like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know if I want to do this. If I say no, because I really want to say no,
Mm.
because Christmas Eve on my own, that's perfectly fine. But my interpretation is that Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve and all the traditional stuff, and her hosting me is a huge deal for her. And I feel like I have to go there and be grateful and enjoy this and have a
Not
drink
not
and
be authentic.
not be authentic.
Mm.
So instead, yeah, that's it. And feeling bad about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I can see that brings up some emotion for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a naughty girl. No, not naughty. You're bad, just bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it comes ahead of me. All these expectations. It's not her. She's just
Yeah, yeah, I get
probably
it.
just
Yeah.
would like my company.
Mm.
It's really
Yeah.
for her. It's just she does this.
Right. So
She
one
does
thing
this.
that I would say that seems to me to be present that is really good is that you are being authentic with yourself. Whereas before you would have overridden your impulse and done what
Yeah.
was expected of you, now you're saying, hang on, I really want to say no, even though I don't quite know how to say no in an acceptable way, but that's what you want, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
And I've done
you're
all of
also,
that.
as well as being authentic, you're also recognizing this concept, this idea of being triggered.
Yes.
And
Absolutely. I
you can see how easily when you're forced to be inauthentic that you get triggered into some emotional response when you have
absolutely.
to say what you don't want to say because you want to be a good little girl and behave the way you're expected to. Yeah,
That's exactly. It's there's no adult in this conversation that I have in my head with her. It's just the little girl that always shows up,
yeah.
always shows up. I mean, I just can, in my head, this has been happening this week. So I can just go back
Yeah,
and it's like a movie. I see these clips of different times that I've seen and done that. And I am
yeah.
so sick of it. So
So
sick of
somehow,
it.
somewhere, there's a decision has been made that you're going to be authentic from now on,
Yes, absolutely.
true to yourself.
Uh,
Another way to put it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
as well as this time distortion thing that's been happening,
Mhm.
have you noticed anything with your memory?
Yeah. So the other thing is, I can't seem to remember. It's almost like there's no grit to remembering things. It's like it's happening
This is
and then
really,
it's
really
gone.
common, you know. Variations of this are really common with people as they wake up, in that it's like it's not that you don't have that it's not that the problem is recalling stuff. The problem is that
No.
stuff doesn't get put away anymore because it's seen to be trivial or unnecessary or insignificant, and it just doesn't get
Yeah.
stored in the way that it used to. We used to store all sorts of rubbish. Now we don't.
Hmm.
We're only going to store important stuff, it seems.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that may or may not be
Mm,
true. That's just a story here, but that would explain. And it's really common for people to have memory issues in that way. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm definitely not going on Christmas Eve. It's clear to me now. This is the other thing that I'm noticing when things are coming up. They have the intensity just as it did in this moment. And then it's like when I see it, and it's like after I stop judging, and you help me in this moment. After I stop judging, and I realized, no, this is like old pattern. This has been my pattern all along. And this is not my mother, it's not my father. This seems obvious, but it's in the moment, it's almost as if the parent is there asking me a question. It's that was the response. And if you met this person, you would say, this is definitely not your mom or your dad.
mm.
But my response was the same.
Yep. And it's stuff that gets triggered in us. It's stuff that we carry around. Is a way to describe it. Just a story, but nevertheless, it seems
Mhm.
relevant that we carry this stuff around, and other people. It could be something as simple as a tone of voice, or or the way they dress, or the way they hold their mouth, or something really insignificant that triggers this stuff that we've got inside us that was conditioned into us, and very obviously in this case from your parents, yeah,
Yeah,
particularly your mother. Yeah,
my mother,
yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure. I mean, the mother is very, that's in a way the first conditioning that we received. Have you heard of internal family systems? It's
Not that language. No.
it's the concept of parts, and that we can, because you're so clear that you can feel that child part, and then you also have a part that says you wish you would get it would go, and that these parts, they all sort of play along together. There's one, and then underneath the child part, there's something else too, because it's like this build up of child, and then patterns, then recreating. But it's quite an interesting concept to look into, because it's just a name for, they're not really, obviously they're not parts, but they've got sort of little personalities, and it's quite interesting to work as if it was a part, not because that's already putting it one step away as we're working, you know, with our personal things that seem to be personal and that we're identifying with, that then we can sort of, in a way, get to know, and mostly it's feeling the sensations of that. Oh gosh, I shouldn't let that person down, and all the social niceties we've been conditioned, and then you feel bad, and it's like it's just pointing into the body of what that part's pointing to, how you're feeling, and letting feelings be there, sensations rather.
Yeah, that letting it be there. It's something that I've noticed also is that's happening in me. It's not, I'm not doing anything. It's the word acceptance. It's like I could never really understand that, what that was, because the judgment would come so quickly. But at some point, I heard the word acceptance, and it just, something just relaxed in me with that. It was, it's something, and I used to dismiss it. Like, okay, so if you can you accept that you can't accept? I remember I first heard that from Pernilla, I think. I thought, well, that's like, what? I couldn't see that, but it started happening. I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to try it anyways. But I heard it for the first time, I don't know when it was, a couple of days ago. Can you accept that you can't accept? And it sat with me, and I thought, yeah. And then I had this sensation of, wow, that's such a relief. Even if I go nowhere further than accepting that I can't accept, I thought that's good enough. That's good.
So I'd like to introduce to you a variation of acceptance that, I mean, you can imagine that there is a version of acceptance that's like a victim resignation kind of acceptance. That's not the kind of acceptance that we're looking for. What we're looking for is an active, willing, inviting acceptance of what's recognized to be your experience, whatever that is. Which brings me to another point. I want to ask you, can you imagine that the time will come when you will willingly go to that person's place in order to get triggered as an adventure to discover what's behind the trigger? Can you imagine that time will come? It will.
I think it will.
Mm,
I think it will. I can imagine that
mm,
time will come
yep.
when I will
Yeah,
go in willingly.
yep. So what I'd like to happen now is I'd really like it, Maya, if you, because you have discovered this recently and it's really fresh for you, I'd really like you to describe to Monique how this looking forward to being triggered turns up for you.
Well, I,
Help.
for example, just hi. Uh, I had a day a few weeks ago where accidentally, somehow, I needed to meet two of my former boyfriends, one on one day and the other on the other day. And meeting former boyfriends is usually well, difficult, and there are lots of emotions and everything. But I was just looking forward, just what will happen when I see them, and it was so okay. And I don't know, it went well. I wasn't anxious because I was really thinking when I meet them, I will observe what happens in me, the sensations in the body, what I think at the moment, everything. So it went well, both of them. I mean, nice conversations, nice to meet people who now live everywhere in the world, and it was fine. And other things, I have a mom who has dementia, and I think it's frontotemporal, which means behavioral changes, and she has become a really difficult person. And I spend 2 or 3 days every week with my parents. And she is really triggering me. She's my mom, and she's the one who can trigger me the most. Not anymore, but she used to. And there are difficult situations with her. Now, when I go home, when I go to see them, I just think, okay, let's see what she will do. And if she triggers me, I'm waiting for triggers, like if I'm having a tennis racket in my hand, just to react, just to catch them somehow. I really am waiting for them to catch moments when I'm triggered. And then, wow, I'm triggered now. What's the situation? How do I feel? What do I think? Whatever I have time for at the moment, maybe thinking what is behind it or something. So
Gets me
it's
so
fun.
excited. Oh, this is great. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
fun.
Maya,
Fun.
Maya, are you finding each time you go, how do you find that the trigger status changes from?
Less and less, less and less. There are some. They happen. I just hang up the phone on my mom half an hour ago because I couldn't listen to her. I call her and she's looking for her cat. She cannot find her cat. The cat is very difficult, very important. She doesn't find the cat, and then she lashes out on my dad. And I thought, oh, I don't want to listen to this, and I hang up. Well, it was triggering. Maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to triggers. I'm looking forward to difficult situations.
Because
And
of the
I'm not always.
discovery. Yeah. The
Yeah.
discovery is
And
so
I'm not.
exciting.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And I'm not
Yeah.
always able to catch them. I'm not always able to catch them. Sometimes they catch me.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Everything's fine. I catch many of them now, and it's fun.
So
I caught some triggers today.
it's not that you should do this, Monique. I was going to call you unique then. It's
I've
not,
been called
it's
that
not,
too.
it's not that you should do this. It's that it will happen like this. It will become so exciting and so much like a new adventure, and it will be just you'll really look forward to it. Oh, it gets shivers in my body when I when I hear that. It's just such an exciting and great thing, to look forward to what's inside, what's going on, what causes us to behave this way or that way, what causes our responses and so on. Yeah. And it will happen. It will happen. So the
I
quickest way to lose that wonderful state of openness that you experienced is to try and hang on to it. That's what will kill it.
yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's so I didn't want to come today because I was starting to experience that too. I was starting to feel myself closing again,
Mm,
and part of it is because I was trying to hold on to
yeah.
that experience of two
So it's
weeks
not
ago.
it's not like it's a fragile state. It's like
No.
it's a baseline, fundamental under everything kind of not it's not a state, but you get what I mean. It's something that's
Mhm.
you know, and it gets covered up by the chaos that's introduced by our conditioning, by being brainwashed by society and societal rules. And so it's like it's always there. It's just we've just got to uncover it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of mothers, um, I I kind of tried to put myself in that situation where I knew for sure that I would be triggered with my mother. I spoke with her a few times, and you know, sometimes it would go well in my mind. It went well. Oh, this wasn't too bad. And then the next time, but what I noticed was the last time I spoke with her, when she started doing, like, she'll just talk. It's like she has no filter. She's very childlike, and she just every single thought is just said out loud. And when she's very stressed, she gets almost hyperactive, and she speaks very quickly, and so she can't hear anything. But what I notice is my behavior and it's on the phone. She lives across the country. She was talking, and when I was starting to get irritated, I noticed that I was starting to play on my phone, even did banking. Looking outside, I'm doing everything. And then all of a sudden I realize, or like Vince would say, I recognize, whoa, I'm totally gone. So I wanted to laugh out loud. Of course, I can't. My mother's there, so I smile. But what happened after that is I noticed that I hadn't heard anything that she had said up until this moment. In fact, I realized in that moment that I don't remember the last time I ever listened to my mom.
Wow.
I could actually not listen to it. It would just start. I would try, and it would be like this. And then I would get irritated, and then I would tune out. And I saw that happening. So having a conversation with myself I said, well, do you think you could just listen? Just can you listen and see what happened? And for a moment, I actually listened, and it was so fast. It didn't last very long. It was so fast, but it's like I had a glimpse of her just being just a person, just a 93-year-old person who's lonely and she just wants to connect. Just a tiny moment. And then that was as much as I could do.
Yep, yep. So can you see that the not listening was a deflection? It was a protective device on your part, right? So it would be really interesting when you do, and that was great what you did. That it was a good experiment to see, even for a moment. So without judgment, without saying anything about it, it would be really interesting for you to recognize what is it that you are reacting to. Is it her tone of voice? Is it the content of what she's talking about? Is it your judgment that it's trivial nonsense? What is it that you are reacting to when you listen to her? And you don't have to phone her to find that out. You can just imagine a conversation with her, and that will trigger some energy for you. And if you can imagine her saying something that she always says, that will get more energy. But you don't want too much energy. You want just that Goldilocks amount of energy so that you can still see what it is that you're reacting to. I won't say responding, I'll say reacting, because it's a reaction. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
experiment continues, if you know what I mean. It's like let's have a look at this, but baby steps, little bits, and see. And then when you get that, you can go further, and then eventually you'll ring her up just to find out what it is that triggers you, because you'll you'll be looking forward to discovering that.
yeah, yeah. The way you're describing it, Maya, though, I mean, that's like feels like a million miles away from where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you'll
It's
cover that
like,
million miles faster than you imagine, I'd say. Yeah,
yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
even just seeing it. Hmm?
my experience, mother experiences, that's been going on. I mean, it deepens and deepens and becomes more subtly energetic. Or, I mean, I sort of, yeah, it just, in the end, it's just, there's an energetic field that it was pre-verbal that has been present always, that caused me to, flee from my body. And the same thing, well, she doesn't listen to me, but I don't listen to her, and it's all my projections,
Yeah,
like endlessly, that there was something with my mother that I could feel, that there was always, oh, there's still something, there's still something. And then just going somehow, just imagining that situation, just bringing her up in revisiting the lab, and just rather than, I don't really think too much about it because I'm much more kinesthetic anyway, but it's just like, I just want to feel into this. How was I feeling, and why was I feeling aggressive, or why was I feeling hurt? And then, like, what's there?
yeah.
So I can play it.
There's a lot in there for me for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's our primary
Mm.
caregiver normally, and that's how we learn to be a me, and often from the mother, and yeah, so it goes
Yeah,
back a little.
I can, yeah, I can go back. I can remember moments. I even had an experience where I was able to actually go and feel myself in her wound and feel the resistance coming from her, but she wasn't ready. So it's very, very deep. So there's pre-verbal stuff, and there's just, being
yeah,
an empathetic kid in a very large family. There was a lot where there's a lot of need, and I just soaked it all up and became that person. So there's a lot of resentment and, yeah,
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
very deep roles, role playing, reversal of roles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that happens
yeah,
even if you're the only child. The time will come when the roles will get reversed, and you'll become the mother, and she'll become the one that you care for. But when you're in
and
a
that's happening
really,
now again.
yeah,
Can't
and
get
when
away
but
from it.
when you're in a really large family, if there's a lot of kids, especially if you're the oldest girl, you'll get assigned a mother role as a kid to look after the other kids, because obviously mum can't do it if she's got 7 kids. So how can she possibly extend that far? So the kids get roles then. They get trained to be mother then. And then when mum gets old, of course, that's reactivated. Yeah.
Absolutely true. Full circle. So, Vince, what can you like recommend again? How would I do this?
I would
How do
recommend
I
you don't
just,
do anything. Don't do it.
oh yes,
But okay, having
that's
said
always
that,
me.
what's your
How can I
specify?
sit?
Yeah, go on. But so it's not wrong that you ask that. It's not wrong. And when I say don't do it, like, we don't have control whether we do or not do. So that's also another thing to recognize. So if there's an inclination to do something, the value there is to recognize that that is also a way of escaping what's been triggered in us. Doing is a great escape, one of the greatest escapes. Besides thinking, doing is a beautiful escape. and it works. Let's just get busy. Let's find a job, kind of thing. So, but at the same time, because it's a language thing, it's difficult to say. How do we say it better? We can't really. So we can talk about doing at the same time as we know that doing is not our prime thing. So doing happens, but it's not doing with intention or control as such.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the key for me. The word do for me is a dangerous word.
Mm.
I just can propel into action. I've done that all my life.
Yep. Yeah.
Diverting.
You know,
Diverting.
I'm the queen of diversion.
Yeah. And then when you see that, oh, okay, I diverted again, and then, and catch little by little.
Yeah.
It's sort of just the noticing, oh, yeah, that's happened.
But specify what it was that when you said, what can I do about it, or whatever your words were, what is it? That thing that you're looking at. Can you just say a bit about that?
Yeah, see, I want to get somewhere with this. I'm realizing that's the problem. I want it to go away. I don't want to be uncomfortable. So I'm
Which is
glad
the
you didn't
natural
answer.
inclination, of course.
Exactly. It's the fight or flight. I'm so glad you didn't tell me what to do, because even though I asked the question, that's not it. I just need to sit with it and be uncomfortable and to allow that to happen. I think that's the hardest thing for me to do.
Yep, yep. And you say you just need to do that. I put emphasis on the word need. But again, it will happen or not happen, won't it? So saying I need to do that is a version of saying that's what I should do. And then you can go, oh, but I can't do it. Oh, God, I'm inadequate. Oh. And we can spiral off into something horrible, can't we? Really easily. Right? But recognizing that there is value in, I want to say, not diverting. That'll do for the moment. It's not right, but you get the idea. There's value in facing. Well, that's not right either. You're not going to face it as such. There's value in accepting. Oh, that's a bit nicer. That's a bit closer to what could happen. That value in the kind of acceptance I talked about. The value in inviting this discomfort in to show me what it's got to show me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now that'll happen or not happen.
Judging.
It's not like we can control it. It'll happen or not. But if we're open to it, and that'll happen or not, if we're open to it, it'll happen. If we need to deflect, that'll happen. And if that happens, that's not bad. It's great if we recognize that we've deflected. And then we can go, oh, okay, did I need to deflect? I heard a bird. It was your phone, was it?
It's crickets for my
cricket.
my little for my kids when they send me a note.
My brain said it was a bird, and so there's a classic example of how the brain wants to make sense of everything, doesn't it? It's just brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I think for me
I was just going to, sorry, I was going to ask, you were saying it's just I want it to go away, or I want to control it, or that you were earlier on, I can't remember exactly what you said, but
uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah, I want it to go away. is there a separate, independent Monique self I that can be found that can want or not want, can choose or not choose?
Yes, I mean, when I'm thinking that way, it's because I'm believing that what I'm feeling is something, that it's
I
a
think
bad thing.
I think it's just, even if the illusion has been really clearly seen, it can always, it's also another helpful step of saying, oh, what is this I? What is this I? Where is it? What is it? Where is it located? And just because then you can see that I want this to go away. Well, that's just a thought arising. So what's that thought pointing to? And it's pointing to sensation normally in the body of some sort of contraction. So can I be with that contraction that says I want it to go away? And it just somehow, puts everything in, it makes the inquiry quite simple, because there's always the seeing that there is no I doer. And so it's a mechanism at play, which we've got sucked into because it's been going on for such a long time, of conditioning and the beliefs. And then getting into the sensation which wants to be felt, and sort of little by little. I mean, that's the way that I've worked, uh, for myself. That first step, because then it sort of sets the stage for curiosity and realizing that there isn't anything personal. It's just a play of an old play.
Yeah. Once I can catch it, and once I see that it's a thought, it's just a thought, an old pattern, in that moment, I can feel, as you were speaking, I could feel it dropping a little bit. It's almost like it creates a little bit of distance.
Yeah.
It's just when it's happening, it's so intense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It feels so intense.
But a lot
So
of these
there's
things, it's just, it takes practice, and a lot of the time it is necessary to do it, as it were, afterwards. And then the more you do it when it's a similar situation, then like Maya was doing, she's sort of, it's like then you can be in a place where you somehow slowed the mechanism down, and you started to sort of, it's not so quickly jumping in, that then you can actually see it at play when it's happening. But it's just like a gentle curiosity and revisiting.
Yeah, and thank you, Rowena. That's really good. I was kind of forgetting that part. So, Monique, what comes to mind as a result of listening to Rowena and that focus is that there's a really, really good exercise that they do at Liberation Unleashed to recognize a reality, to recognize what is actual, right? And that is that you take a piece of paper and you just write down you draw a line right down the middle of the page, and on the left, write down your thoughts that start with I. I feel this, I am this, I want this, etc., etc. Write them all down as they turn up, and just because they come really naturally. And you were saying, I am feeling this, I respond this way, and so on. And part of what this is to appreciate that language is really, really strong conditioning, that we have this language that teaches us to think in a certain way, and our thoughts respond to what we've been trained by language that's used by our peers and our parents and so on all our life, right? So if you write down the I statements on the left of the page, and then go onto the right-hand side of the page and go write down the same thing, but without the I, right? So you would say thoughts happened,
Oh,
right?
yes.
On the opposite side to I was thinking, right? Thoughts happened. This just write all of those and do the the alternative to each of the I statements is just there happening,
Mm,
right? Without the I.
mm-hmm.
And as you do that, you notice the feeling. As you're doing the right-hand side of the page, notice how you're feeling as you put each of those down. And almost certainly it will be a sense of liberation,
Yeah.
and I use that word quite intentionally. It will be a sense of being free from the jail of social imperative. Good
What
experiment.
I no, what I'm hearing is the difference being it is happening,
Yes.
which is a fact, or it's more reality, versus it is happening to me,
Mm.
or I am making it
Yes.
happen, or it
Yeah.
is directed at me, it is because of
Yeah.
me, it is.
Yeah. And on the left-hand side, you can use me, I, mine, any of those personal pronouns. On the right, the same thing without any personal pronouns. And
Mm,
watch the feeling.
no,
Yeah.
I can see it
It's a
already.
really powerful exercise. And with that
Mm,
will come a recognition of something that is absolutely good.
mm-hmm,
We habitually frame everything in the personal pronoun way. That's what language encourages. Well, what it insists on, not just encourages. Because if you say to somebody, "Oh, thoughts happened here," they'll go, "What? You're weird." So you've got to say, "I had thoughts." That's what society demands. That's what language demands. Yeah.
yeah, it on the outside, it is happening, sounds detached, uncaring, you know, without emotion, without
Yeah.
commitment, without. But when you say it is happening, it's so much lighter.
Yes.
It's not like low. It's not loaded.
Yeah. You don't even have to write it down to get that feeling, eh? Yeah.
No, no. I just as you were saying it, I, sometimes if I'm by myself and I'm connected with my body, noticing sensations, it's easier to say it is happening. There is, um, a sensation in my stomach or, my leg. It's easier to say that.
Yes.
It's just as soon as I start relating, trying to relate to someone, speak to someone, it's all the eyes that come out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the experience becomes heavy, even though it could have been very light. And
Mm. So are you familiar with the concept of body yes, body no? Have you listened to Panilla about that one?
I listened to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So watch when you say I had, then compare it to it happened.
It's
Watch the
completely
body.
different.
Watch the body. Yes. And every time you say
It,
I'll guarantee you'll see a
it's a
contraction, a
it's always a
pull-in.
contraction.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the opposite
yeah.
when you say it happened, there is that opening up
It
yeah.
yeah. It happened feels like it's just happening.
Mm. Which is much more accurate, isn't it? It is just a happening.
It's just happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, the eye is like an energy drain. It's sort of like creating an energy vortex that's taking away from the natural flow.
Yeah, and it's actually sometimes when I would listen to my thoughts with the I get so sick of hearing myself. It feels very like self-centered, and it doesn't matter what the I is saying, good or bad, it feels the same way. It's like, oh my Nick, will you like shut up? But where it's happening, it's lighter and it's more investigative, it's more curious, it's more adventurous, it's more, oh, it's happening. It's, something is being seen. Oh, cool. Yeah, there's more a sense of space.
Yeah. And I really celebrate that your openness to all of this, your willingness to look and explore and investigate. That's beautiful. Yeah. So
It's
good
been really
talking to you.
nice.
I love it.
It's
Yeah.
it's thank you. Thank you. Because oh I can't it's just my whole speech is wanting to change now. But it feels so much more open this way.
Yeah, yeah. Look, habitually, of course, the other stuff will still happen, but each time, and you'll get to, you will experience that you'll be talking to somebody and you'll say, "Oh, I had thoughts," or whatever, and at the same time as you say it, you'll go, "Well, that's a lie," but I've got to say it because that's the circumstances. So there'll be all of
Mm,
a sudden the investment in it, because when you say it, even though you're saying it and you know it's just a formality that you're saying it because
mm,
of communication, there won't be that body contraction because there won't be the hook into the investment into the I being a person. Look at tears running down my face. Happy tears, happy
mm.
tears.
Love
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
it's like
wonderful.
you just go into the illusion willingly and play the game, and just say bring it on, and but it's all that it's just it's not the reality that it
Yeah.
once was. It
No,
really is
no.
just
It's definitely something has changed in me. It's just it, it it's just I don't have the words, and it's like there's the old habits that come in, and then something knows that this is not it, but it's like it's just going to take
takes
time
practice.
and
Yeah,
letting
practice. Yeah.
practice.
Mm.
It's like learning a new language, and
Well,
it,
and even more so, I've got another story that says what you're doing is you're actually creating new neuronal pathways in
mm,
the right brain and the old pathways in the left brain, right? And all that I stuff comes from the left brain. It's critical thinker. It's the judgment. It's the opinion that happens in the left brain, and all that starts to atrophy as you replace it with the right brain. And then in the right brain, it's that awe about what. Oh, it's totally non-judgmental, and with that,
mm,
the filters, the shades, the gossamer curtain that you were looking at the world through gets lifted, and all of a sudden that blade of grass becomes in focus and clear and magical. That's noticed because you haven't got that filter anymore.
mm,
Then the other stuff comes back out of habit, and we see it coming back, and we go, "Oh, here it is again. I wonder what triggered that to turn up." And as soon as you say that, it lightens up, and maybe you'll see what triggered it, and maybe you won't until next time. Things will, this is, you can bet things will keep on turning up until they don't need to anymore. And it's not like oh, we failed or it's wrong. None of that. It's great. It's good that it keeps on coming back until we don't need it anymore. And then when stuff stops coming back or slows down, that's when you go visit your friend because you want something to turn up and show you.
Oh my goodness.
True.
You just brought me back in my head. I know you didn't do it, but just wow. The thought that came is, oh, see, I want to say, I need to reply.
Well, don't not say it. It's fine to say it.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And when you say it,
That's,
it'll be blaring out to you from the right brain side that, oh, this is not what's really happening. You know, it'll just, it'll be like a megaphone.
it's like there's no hiding now.
Yeah.
The overwhelming feeling. It's just no hiding. It's just like it's like too late to turn back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's
well, that's
just all
true too.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're locked. There's no way you can go back to sleep. There's once you get there to that certain point, it's a path of no return. Yeah.
No. But it's exciting what you were talking about earlier, and Maya, the way you were explaining how you would, look forward to being in these situations that would otherwise have been extremely uncomfortable, to have that experience and see what comes up. That curiosity, like I really like the word curiosity. Curiosity is hugely motivating for me. It's almost like it's um, it just makes this process so rich without anything having to happen, without like thinking that to awaken would have to look a certain way. Like the thought of that is just numbing for me. But if a sense of curiosity and adventure and just wondering what's going to come up, and with that openness, very appealing.
The same things will happen for you. The same things. The same life will go the same. It's just you seeing it differently. Nothing else will be. It will be just what will be. What will be anyway.
It's a common saying when people wake up, they'll say, nothing has changed, but everything is different. And that makes absolute sense to me, but you say it to somebody who's not awake and they've got no idea what you're talking about. No, you know what I mean.
I guess I know. But there must be this readiness to go through unpleasant situations and unpleasant emotions. I said once, you weren't there. It's like when you are going to give birth. There's no way around it. You have to go through it. However painful, however pleasant, there's no way around it. Well, I would like to cancel now. No, too late. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah, there's a nice quote or some that it's like life doesn't happen to you, it happens when you're on this path. Well, or even if you're not, it happens for you. And I like that because all the triggering events are really there to show you where show us where we cling on, holding on, whatever.
Where the buttons are, yeah. But you have to know one thing. I think it's important to know one thing, that nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad will happen. This or that way anyway. On the other side of this situation, the situation is resolved and nothing bad happened. You know, so this gave me courage to face everything, just to be ready to take anything what comes. You know, whether I'm afraid of something before it happens or I'm not afraid of it, it's the same. The result is the same. You know, so nothing else will happen. The same thing will happen. So I might as well be happy to accept it, to go through it. Or something bad will happen, but then I'll handle it if it happens. But it would have happened anyway, so why bother?
Yeah, I remember thinking, you know, what if I awaken and with my imagination, everything changes. I lose everything. I have to let go of my house, everything I own. You know, that whole idea that
move into a cave in the
you have
Himalayas.
to let go of all your attachments. You're annihilated from everyone. But the thing that has been coming up for some time is the question, you know, what if this is it? And it was showing up continuously, consistently, intensely for several weeks, maybe a few months, I don't know. And then one day, and actually it's around the time that I first spoke with you, Vince, something you said, I realized, no, this is it. It's not a question. This is it. Right here, right now, in this moment. And I still don't understand it, but there's something about it that I know this is it. You know, there's nothing to pursue, there's nothing to find. Like you said, Maja, nothing bad is going to happen. It's going to be the same thing. And that's okay, because I'm so tired of pursuing something. So tired of that.
Mm. So what's coming up here too, from what you were saying, is really interesting. Is about that attachment. So when you have attachment to anything, it is the attachment is an attitude. It's got to do with a belief, and it's got to do with a sense of ownership or a sense of connection, or whatever any variation of that attachment is. So if you're attached to your house, for example, right, then every time you think of your house, you'll get a certain feeling, and that feeling will be a kind of a bit of an ego puffery, a slight swell kind of thing, right? So that is a nice feeling that you get when you think about your house because of your attachment. That you'll get that, right? So that's the attachment. If you lose the attachment, the house is still there. The only difference is your relationship to it has changed. And it will be like when you think of it, you won't get this ego swell. This puffery won't happen because of the idea that, oh, I'm really good because I've got a house, I've been successful in in owning this house, and it's a lovely house, and all of those things that we used to think about to make ourselves feel a certain thing, to respond in a certain way. So it's the house is exactly the same. Nothing's changed in the house, but the attachment to it is seen to be a fabrication, and that gets dropped. So it's like when we recognise that there's no controller in there running the show, no I or me or Monique, little person in your brain pulling levers and making things happen, nothing changes except our relationship to whatever it was that we had an attachment to. The hooks get removed. The Velcro gets undone. And it's much more like Velcro gets replaced with Teflon, and those things slide off now. And we don't need to use that to feel good, because guess what? We feel good anyway. We feel good about the fact that we've discovered this. We feel good about the loss of attachment. We feel good about it's just fucking lovely. The whole thing is. We don't need to stroke ourselves in order to feel good.
Or otherwise invent stories of homelessness, which is a complete fabrication, right? Because there's only here right now, sitting in the house, having a conversation, using the senses, seeing, hearing, sensing, and seeing, oh, there's a story of me sort of sitting on a street in the freezing cold, I mean, it's all, yeah, just like it's just a story. And so it's the stories that can just be imagination, that can be let go of the fearful stories that we've grown up with. And of course, that there are people that have those experiences, but we have to always just come back to here and now and say, what am I creating? Something out of nothing, the Panilla's seventh feta side of just a whole fabrication, future event.
Rowena's touching into something that's perhaps a little bit ahead of us at the moment, and that really is the way I would describe it bluntly, is a recognition of how we create everything with thought. But you'll get to see that.
Yeah.
So what's that emotion that you're experiencing at the moment?
It's I don't know why when you said the here and now, it's that sense that it's like a derobing, it's like a sense of it's just like there's just this. You say it so freely, and for me, it feels like things are just washing away. It's a feeling of, it's the contradiction in my mind. It's like things are becoming very small and simple, and yet they're expanding. I can't really explain it, but it's just I'm hearing I guess what's being heard in me is really there's just this. It's the only thing that I can understand from all of this, all these years. It's just right here, right now, in this moment, without anything else.
I wonder if, and I once had an experience that I wonder if you're not having a version of that right now, and that experience came with a sense of letting go, of freedom, and it was almost like, or how I described it at the time, and I get a feeling of it right now actually when I think about it. It's almost like the space between the atoms in my body got bigger, and there's
Yeah.
an expansion, almost a fluffing out of the whole physical being as things got less tight, as things loosened up
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just
It's like everything is
yeah.
just flowing.
Mm. If it's as lovely as I experience it, then just stay with that for a moment. It's just so enjoyable and beautiful. Yeah. Mm. How have things been for you, Maya?
I had a whole theme park in my head today. It was really funny. We first, uh, finally, I got to do some mundane things in the house, and like unloading the dishwasher and things. And as I was doing it, I was able to get into that state where things are doing themselves and I'm watching. So it was another situation. It wasn't brushing my teeth, it wasn't washing my hands, which is normal when I can do that. It was something else. It was like getting slowly into other parts of my life, being able to be like that. And it was so, it was relaxing. I was really watching. And I don't know, when I did the cutlery, then I wasn't hurrying like normally and taking all the forks and then put them into the drawer one by one. And it was so funny. It just, it was a flowing motion. I was watching my movements, and it was so satisfying. And then watching the water flowing out of the faucet, and there was sun shining on the water, and the water was spraying like a little bit, and it was hot, so there was steam going in the sun. I was just observing all things, and it was so wow, okay.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And my daughter came. My daughter
Okay.
came a few times and said something, and I responded, and I saw that I lost it at those moments when I had to talk to her. But it was just a few sentences, and then I could go back and do it again. I was able to come back in the state. So going in and out, this was funny. But then I had to sort the laundry by colors and by temperature. How will I wash it? And this was an intellectual task. So I couldn't let everything flow anymore, and then I lost it. So it lasted for longer. It was so fun. It was so beautiful. Nothing special. I didn't burst of joy or something, but it was okay. It was something nice. And then okay, this was it. And then my husband somehow decided that he wanted to go to another town to attend the Christmas carol service. We are all atheists. And he thought it will be kind of concert, but he didn't think through. So it was really a service. It was a worshiping service. So we went there, and it's a beautiful cathedral. It's really something special to see. Okay, but we had to wait. We had to queue up for 2 hours in front of the church to get in. And it was so boring. It was really boring. And I thought, wow, I'm not moving now, so I cannot experiment with this date anymore. And so, okay, I lost it. But then I figured out, oh, but there are people talking around me, and I'm not hearing anyone in particular. So I can just expand my field of observation and let everything in. So I was standing there for not an hour, but half an hour maybe, just listening to everyone, and it was just this. And I was again in this state, but not observing the movements anymore, but listening to sounds, just because I was so bored. And it was amazing. I could have I could have been there much longer, no problem. Queuing up, no problem. Then we went to sit in the church, and the music started because not the concert, but the music. And I thought, oh, I liked the previous state so much because it wasn't. There was no rhythm, and the rhythm creates expectations. When you have the rhythm, you know what will come next, and then you expect it to be something. And this previous state, I liked it because there were no expectations. There was no before, there was no after. It was just what was happening. And then we thought about what we talked the last time, the meaning. And I figured somehow I figured out that the rhythm and the expectations create the meaning. The meaning is in the expectations. But then I got into my head too much. And then it started, and it was actually a service and not a concert. And then I lost it because at one point, I mean, the three of us, atheists from Catholic background, we are now attending a worship in Church of England, and everyone is singing around us, and we were like three Mr. Beans. And it was just so funny. I started laughing, and I thought, oh, I'm so happy to be a crazy mask person, and I can laugh now. No one can see me. And then it stopped because I just went off. But these were two moments of experiencing something. But then, on the other hand, I also did some other things similar to what we are talking with Monique. As we were driving there, we had to drive to the countryside. And I have a problem with, especially in the winter, when there are no leaves on the trees. If I drive past some past the trees, and the sun is coming through the branches. When you drive, then there's like this stroboscopic effect, Yeah. And this bothers me really. And I feel it somewhere in my solar plexus for some reason. It contracts. There's a contraction, sudden contraction. And I feel like if I could vomit or something. But this time somehow I thought, oh, okay, I'll try to sit this through. It's very unpleasant sudden and unpleasant sensation, and I thought I might try to sit through this to see what happens. And I couldn't create it anymore. I just sat through all these parts of the way, and it didn't come again. It was a decision. I can sit through this, and I could sit through this somehow. I don't know. This was the first one of these experiments, and the second one, in the church, I have a mask, and I have an itch on my upper lip, so I cannot scratch. And I decided to sit through it to observe it, and then I was looking for the reaction. Like I don't want it to itch anymore. I couldn't find it, but it was itching, and there was a need to scratch. I was observing it. I didn't find anything, so I wasn't entirely successful. Next time, maybe when something starts to itch and I decide not to scratch, but to observe it. So, yeah, this was it. It was funny. It was funny, especially the morning experience with the water and everything. Wow, there's a world around me.
Yeah, that parallel world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love the story about the water, especially in the state that I was in. It's like I could just see you
Yeah.
and it's all floating and
Yeah.
amazing, beautiful, how beautiful a simple thing is when you're just completely in the experience of it.
Mm.
There's no time.
Yeah. The way I describe it is the magic becomes obvious.
Mm. Well, it wasn't the magic. It was just beautiful. It was just,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, this is nice. This is so nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was listening to everything at once, then I saw that I wasn't looking for patterns, which is unusual for me, you know, I'm in my head always.
Yeah.
And then the music came and I saw, oh, this is a pattern. This is a pattern. We want to have patterns. I want to have patterns. I want to see them everywhere.
So,
I think even,
go on.
oh, I was just going to say, Maya, that is also something which will just gradually become just part of the field. You know, there's a relaxing, and it's like, sort of like the cognizing factor just really becomes another experience field. And it's not happening here, it's just in the field, as it were.
Mm. Yeah, so it's obvious to
It's
me.
difficult for me.
It's obvious to me,
Go on.
Maya, that your natural inclination is analytical and structural, and that when you get stuff into the right brain, all of that goes. That's different. So one thing that
Yeah.
you could add to your experiments with listening is consider that when you don't apply a structure to sound, that what comes in the ears, what we would normally describe as sound, you will also feel, and you may in fact even experience color. This is not uncommon. That what happens is our senses will start to run together. Where they're no longer distinctly separate. So hearing, you will feel the sound as well as hear it, and you may experience color as well. You may experience taste. It's not uncommon that you will discover that you'll produce saliva with the experiencing of sound. So all sorts of possibilities may turn up when you drop the usual framework, the structure way of thinking about things. Uh, so
Looking forward to that.
yeah, good experiment.
About the color. Yesterday, well, we talked in the morning, and I had this difficult feeling because of that stabbing I was talking about. I had the feeling whole day until the evening yesterday, and there was everything in my head, like thinking about my inappropriate response, like other people's inappropriate response, um, everything and anything, and it was I was shocked by that. And until the evening, things settled, but there was a heavy feeling in my chest, and I would have said it was brown. I
Yes.
thought at some point, like it was brown, heavy and brown,
Mm.
and a knot in my plexus. It was, and it lasted until the evening, and then I went to sleep. And when I woke up, well, today was different, as I told you.
Mm. Mm.
There is something in the sleep. We really clean during the sleep, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, interestingly, one of the things that happens in sleep is that our brain shrinks and allows more room around the outside of the brain for flushing, for it to be flushed clean. That happens there too, yeah. But just for everybody else's benefit, what Maya was talking about was that a stabbing had happened at her at a school where she used to live, and she was considering uh, how she felt, how she was responding to that, about how she felt about the parents of the child that got stabbed and the headmistress, and whether she was experiencing what you would call compassion or what she was feeling about the people who were gossiping about it, having their judgment, their opinions about why it happened and so on, and how she was responding to that. Yeah, that was pretty heavy duty stuff. Yeah. And it's interesting that when we experience heavy stuff, it's almost always associated with dark colors, and light stuff is bright colors. Yeah, so it's yeah, there's an association that we take for granted and don't realize that it happens even. Yeah. Or brown. Mm.
Yeah, it was not nice.
Mm. Mm.
It was not nice. But anyway, I came to the conclusion that, well, there was less selfing after me talking yesterday. Less selfing. There wasn't any selfing anymore. My school or not my school, and you know everything there
Yeah.
was.
So the recognition
There
that
was
attachment was something that had been created.
Yes, yes, yes. And what remained in me was really, well, the feeling of heaviness, of
Mm. Mm.
sadness and shock. And I also thought about, there is some feeling, not just this situation, but many other situations. I somehow try not to label the feelings. I try not to label them, just to feel them.
Mm. Well, one technique you can use there is, instead of trying not to, because again, there's a certain contraction, a certain resistance in trying not to, right, is to allow what wants to come naturally, right? But so if a label turns up, recognize that a label is it's like a signpost on the road. It's directing you to focus in a certain direction. Right? But as soon as you recognize that, you can go past the label. You can go beyond the label. So there's no more signposts after that signpost, which is the label. The road then is unsigned all the way. There are no more directions because it's into that world that's beyond language. Right? So the signpost of the label points you in a certain direction, but when you go there, no words can describe what there is. It can be experienced only. So the experience can't be described. It can't be conveyed to anybody else. It's like trying to explain to somebody what chocolate tastes like if they've never tasted chocolate. It's an impossibility. It's in that world of no words can work. So rather than try and resist the idea of labels, allow them to point you and then just go beyond. It's almost,
Okay.
yeah, it's an invitation.
Treating them as a thought. Treating them as a thought.
Yeah.
They are here. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so here we get thoughts start to become useful again in that they take us into a certain direction, but we then go beyond them. So instead of saying no, we don't want thoughts, we allow them to point us in a direction. So thoughts.
Because sorry,
No worries.
interrupted.
There you go.
I started having having some kind of fear that if I label an emotion, that it will fixate me
It does.
somewhere.
Yes.
How? Yeah. And I didn't want this. I wanted to remain free to interpret this or
Yep.
feel this. If I
That's
say
your
this is fear,
analytical mind again.
yeah. If I say this is fear, then I won't be able to see some
Yep.
other maybe
So don't instead of
details.
saying don't do that, allow that label to turn up and
Okay.
recognize it as a door that is just cracked open. And so what you're going to do is step past the label, push it wide open and go through into a place where labels can't exist because they are a contraction, because they are a limiting factor. They do
Okay.
lock you into certain things. Because every label, look, even the most mundane label, whatever you like, every single label has an undertone of morality about it. It has a meaning beyond, and it's subtle stuff, but it's very constricting, very restricting, containing kind of thing. So yeah, just allow it to show you the direction to move in.
Yeah, but take it lightly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Labels have attachments too. Yeah. Sorry, Rowena.
No, I was just going to say, I think I'm going to go to get ready for bed because it's getting late here. But it's been lovely chatting with you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Rowena.
Bye.
Let me just look here at my calendar. I decided, so where are we? The 23rd today. So
22nd.
I've still got on my calendar for Wednesday, which is our Christmas day. I've still got a 4 o'clock meeting, um, which I haven't cancelled, in that it won't be Christmas Day for a lot of people in Europe and America. That'll still be Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
So I don't know whether anybody's going to turn up or not, but I'm happy to start the meeting and just see if people come. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see
I
what
wanted to
happens.
ask. Thank you. I wanted to ask you that.
Mm,
I think I'll be there.
yeah, good. Yeah, it'll be 4 p.m., so it'll be, everybody will be full of food and it'll be time for me to seek some solitude anyway. So
This is Wednesday, right? Wednesday.
Wednesday in my time, yeah, at 4
Wednesday
p.m.
your
I
So
time.
might.
it'll probably be Wednesday morning for you guys, eh? I don't know.
Yeah,
I might
I'd have
come
to look
1
at
hour
the.
late.
Mm. Just see what happens.
I think
Nothing
okay. Yeah,
required.
you're 17 hours ahead of me.
That much, okay.
I'm
Yeah, so
I'm
it'll
in
still be
British
Tuesday for
Columbia.
you, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. British Columbia, Canada.
So is that
Oh,
on the east or west coast, or in the
The
middle?
West Coast. West.
West
So I'm
coast. Oh, okay.
on British
Yeah.
Columbia.
So I couldn't imagine we're 17 hours ahead of you. So you'll be on what,
17
like San
what time?
Francisco time?
Yes. So British Columbia. So you're in Sydney.
Yeah,
Sydney. So you said Christmas Day, right?
Pacific
4 p.m.
time.
your
Yeah,
time?
yeah, 4 p.m. my time. It'll be
Sydney.
9 p.m. your time the day before.
Christmas Eve
Yeah.
for me.
So you'll
Oh,
be
that's a
Pacific,
possibility.
your Pacific Standard Time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 9 to Christmas Eve. It's
Oh,
Wednesday.
no, actually, wait a minute, wait a minute.
9, 9 p.m.
Yeah, yeah,
Standard
it'll be
Time.
9 p.m. 9 p.m. the day before. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Since I'm not going to my friends.
Oh, I thought
9
you might
p.m.
consider it now.
I'm not going. I'm not ready. It's not Christmas Eve material.
It will happen when it happens. Yeah, or
It'll
not.
happen
Yeah.
on a different day. Well, never know. I don't think so. It's
I'll
it's
be
not something I'd want to do regardless of who it is.
Mm.
I'll be 1 hour late because it would be 5 o'clock in the morning in the UK, so
Oh, okay.
I'll
Yeah.
come at 6.
No worries.
Okay, no, it's a yes for me.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Got
good
it.
way. Yeah, great
Whatever
Christmas Eve.
happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have an interesting story that popped up here is that there are some people that I see on Facebook that uh, and one lady I know, but they're very nationalistic in their attitude, and they go on about Australia Day, and they go on about being able to, no, not being restricted, and so recently the posts have been along like something about being offended about talking about Christmas Day and so on, and they want to be able to kind of continue the tradition and say, whatever. And they talk about Christmas Day as a celebration of Christianity and so on. And I had this response that said, ever since I've been a kid, I don't care whether it's Christmas Day or Australia Day or the Queen's birthday or whatever. They're a holiday. And that's what I celebrate, a holiday, a day off, a day to go to the beach or to do nothing or to whatever. And that's been the reality. So the people that actually celebrate the reason why it's a holiday, they've never been in my sphere of experience. So it's rather amusing to think, that we have to celebrate that day as a Christian something or other, when in fact for me, Christmas Day will be a gathering of the family. And so that's why, we won't be saying any prayers, we're pretty agnostic or atheistic or whatever you want to describe it in that sense. So it'll be a great get together. It'll be a day when, yeah, and we'll have dessert as well as a meal. That's really great. That's not normal for my family. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Over the years, a few years ago, my kids, I have three daughters, and they were always in a different financial situation, and there was a lot of stress for them to give gifts, and if one gave a gift, they had to reciprocate. So we just agreed to not do that, and it's been a big relief.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't do the gifts, and now they have different jobs, different schedules, and so we just try to get together. So we will get together on the 23rd when it works, and we'll share a meal, and that's
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
Christmas.
And that's a
We
lovely
just want
thing,
to
eh?
be
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I love I'm happy when my kids are willing to see me.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
So I
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
forward to that. Yeah,
Yeah. And
there'll
it's
be lots of
interesting. Like
food.
we also decided about that with gifts, although we do, occasionally do a gift thing, but only special things. Um, but one of the things that used to happen when I can remember as a kid, that come Christmas time and there would be 25 Christmas cards on the mantelpiece. This year we got 4 cards, and 3 of them were from businesses who want continued business. One was from a real estate agent, and one was from whatever, and then only one was from a friend that gave us
Wow.
a Christmas card. So that's a really interesting one as well. And we joke, we say, "Oh, I got more Christmas cards than you got. I got 4 this year." Yeah.
Yeah,
And we send out
no,
none. We don't give any out
yeah,
at all. Yeah,
yeah, no.
yeah.
There's
But
one
it's all
thing
very
I do.
light-hearted stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I like that spirit. There's one thing I do for my kids, and it's just a corny mom thing that
Hmm.
I think they still like. They always say it's corny, and they always say I haven't chosen it well, but I'll get pajamas and socks,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just a little something, and they
Yeah,
always
yeah.
roll their eyes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But they love it as well.
and
Yeah, I'll
and I
bet.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate that now that it's so uncool,
yeah, yeah.
but they'll
It's so
wear them
uncool that
because
it is
it's
cool. Yeah.
it is cool because
Yeah.
they're at the age that they just want a little bit of nurturing.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I'll be here on Christmas Eve. It's perfect.
Well, I'm gonna pull the plug
Mhm.
because I feel a wonderful sense of satiation. I don't know how you say that word. Satiation. I'm s- I'm I'm feeling really satisfied.
Yeah, me too.
My
It's
belly's
been
got just the right amount of distension. Yeah.
it's been a great experience. Thank you so much for being so, I don't know,
Oh,
there.
thank you
Present.
too. Yeah, yeah. This has been this has been, if this were a Christmas gift, I couldn't have been given a better one. I've just const, constantly been, my eyes are streaming with joy. So it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, me too. Very happy. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
See you
see
later.
you. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you both.
Thank
Well.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.